Alright, hello everyone. Welcome to our live stream today. Today I'm going to be talking about a beginner's guide to planning your trip to Walt Disney World. My name is Faith Gessner. I've gone on a couple of Disney World trips myself, and I have gathered a lot of information in this presentation today that I'm hoping I'll be able to share with you and be able to help you out in planning your next Disney World trip. So let's get started. So first, what to know to start planning. So first you want to figure out who's going on your trip. So how many adults you'll have, if you'll be bringing any children or infants, and how you'll need to be able to plan for them. That's where you'll need to start. Then after that, you have to think about where you want to stay. So you could think about going to stay off property, since it could be a little less costly than staying on Disney property, or if you want to stay on property for some of the amenities. And we'll be going over some of those amenities in this live stream today. Then lastly, you want to think about when you're going to go. So a couple of questions to think about is what time of year works best for those who are going. Would you prefer to go when there's less crowds, and what events are going on? So if you are, say, a teacher and you don't want to take too many days off, and so you want to go during those school breaks, typically there's going to be more people there because it's more crowded when school is not in session than when school is in session. And so if you want to be able to go when there's less crowds, you're going to have to worry about taking days off and things like that. But you're not going to have as many crowds. You might have different events and stuff going on, whether it's busy or not, including different festivals that might be going on during the holidays. They have a lot of seasonal offerings, and so parks typically tend to be more popular then as well. So when is the best time to go? So if you're thinking about mitigating crowds, if you really want to be able to go there and have a more enjoyable experience where there's not as many people around you, the beginning of the year from the middle of January to the middle of February is the good time in between the end of year holiday crowds that'll be at Disney and then the start of like mid-winter recess breaks and spring breaks and things like that. So that's a good time to go at the beginning of the year. Then, if you're thinking about going when it's going to be a little bit warmer out, but not too hot, you could think about going some weekdays in the first half of May, considering that school is still in session for many people. Some schools in Florida might be out already, but not many. And also, most, or at least some colleges, at least up here I know of, will still be in session, and so there won't be any college kids really looking to go then either. Then if you're thinking about going towards the middle of the year, but you don't want to go at the end of the year when there's all those big crowds, you can go from the middle of August to the middle of October. So in the middle of August is when schools in Florida start to come back up again. And then from then until the middle of October when they start having their um, seasonal offerings for like Halloween and stuff, that's when it's going to pick up more. So you can still get some of those seasonal offerings if you go at the beginning of October. Typically, the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween parties start in August, so you can still enjoy some Halloween offerings without necessarily going at the end of October or on Halloween, but you'll still get some of those perks as well. And then the beginning of December is not bad. It's not the best time to go, but if you're thinking of going to enjoy some of their seasonal offerings that they have for like Christmas time and Hanukkah and things like that, the beginning of December is when you're going to want to go then. And so, if you want to celebrate the holidays in Disney, you want to think of arriving before the holiday you want to go for. So, the example I gave here is if you want to go for Halloween, the theme parks will be less busy on October 20th than October 31st, but many of the same offerings will still be available. Typically, Disney has very long periods of time for those seasonal offerings because they want to get as many people to come and enjoy them as possible. So, if you go before the holiday versus after the holiday, where people might want to be there on October 31st because they might want to wear costumes to the park, or if you're going around Christmas time and you want to celebrate Disney on Christmas, maybe have that be one of the last days of your stay, because the time from about a week before Christmas all the way until after New Year's is very busy in the parks and is the most busiest time to go. So you're going to be able to celebrate the holidays, but be warned because the crowds do get a little crazy. So, an overview of the Walt Disney World parks. There are four main theme parks. First one's kind of most notable with the iconic Cinderella Castle as the icon is Magic Kingdom. Then we have Epcot. So if you've ever seen Spaceship Earth, the big Epcot ball, Epcot, it stands for Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow. That was Walt Disney's vision when he started to come up with the idea of Epcot. Unfortunately, he passed away before he ever saw Epcot come to life, but his older brother Roy saw it into fruition. So that's how we have Epcot today. And then third is Animal Kingdom. That is where we see the big iconic Tree of Life icon for that park. And then last but certainly not least is Disney Hollywood Studios. So some iconic parts of the Hollywood Studios, previously known as MGM Studios, that is Hollywood Studios. And all of those parks do require paid admission, so it's per day per person admission, except for children under the age of 3. So if your child is anywhere between 0 all the way up until they turn 3, then they are free. If they are 3, or if it's their birthday and you're having a birthday trip for them and they're turning 3, you will have to pay for them from their birthday that they turn 3 on. And some other on-location parks that they have on property include Typhoon Lagoon and Blizzard Beach, which are both of their water parks that they have. Their water parks tend to be less open than other parks that they have, and so typically around the time that they have those parks open, it's going to be from January to February, anytime within them. So now, jumping off of there's also Disney Springs, which is not necessarily a theme park, but it is a recreational area that they have for the parks. It used to be called Downtown Disney, but there's a lot of different little activities you can do. Sometimes they have activities in a lot of the shops there. So they have Emirates Bakery there where you can sign up for a pastry class. There's also an AMC movie theater in there as well. So it's a lot of more recreational activities that will cost money, but the admission to Disney Springs, I'm pretty sure, is only paying for parking. So there's that as well. And then Disney's Boardwalk, it's just like a little boardwalk, and there's some shops and different things that you can walk around and see there. And it also is very close to Epcot, so it's a different thing that you can do while not necessarily going into the parks, but being relatively close to them as well. So the first park we're going to talk about is Magic Kingdom. Like I said, Magic Kingdom is home to Cinderella Castle, which is the most iconic icon of Walt Disney World, at least in my opinion. So let's get into it. So there are 6 main lands in Magic Kingdom, one being Adventureland, then we have Main Street USA, which is where you enter the park, Frontierland, which is currently under a bit of a renovation right now. Then we also have Liberty Square, which is kind of themed to like colonial times, some things like that. And then we have Tomorrowland, which is a more futuristic take on one of their lands. And then there's Fantasyland. So there's New Fantasyland and there's Old Fantasyland. New Fantasyland was an extension that was added on to the original Fantasyland that was in the parks, but in the early 2000s it was added on, so it has some newer attractions than what was there previously. So some of these signature attractions that you're going to find in Magic Kingdom include Dumbo the Flying Elephant. So that's the iconic ride where you get to sit in a flying elephant, you get to fly around the parks and stuff. There's also a really cool kids area within that attraction where you can stay inside in the air conditioning. There's a bunch of different interactive activities and things that kids can do if you have younger kids that don't want to go on the attraction necessarily yet. Then they can chill in there without their mom or dad, and then their older siblings can go on there, or vice versa. And then next up is Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, which is one of the busiest attractions at Magic Kingdom. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, it does have a height requirement, and it is a little bit more intense than you would think it is, but it is a very cool attraction. It did get a little bit of renovation a few years back. I don't remember the exact year. at this point. But it is a very fun ride, very thrilling, and it is a great coaster for all kids, even if you're not into Seven Dwarfs. Um, excuse me, Snow White. Then there's also Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. That's a really fun one. A little bit rocky. In my opinion, it's a little bit more intense than Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, but it is still fun nonetheless, and it is a great ride, especially for um, tweens or teens that really want to have a little bit of that thrill, but they're at Magic Kingdoms, and since it is mostly a very kid-friendly park, there's not going to be too many rides like that are going to give them that same type of thrill. So speaking of thrill, Tron Light Cycle Run is the newest attraction at Magic Kingdom. It is based on a 1980, I think it was 1980. I don't remember the exact year. Tron movie, more so the reboot that happened in the 2000s. But it's a very cool ride. You get to actually sit on one of the Tron light cycles and you get to go on a race throughout the grid, and it is very fun, very exciting. However, with that, it is also a very long wait most of the time. Right now, they have virtual queue spots for it, which means that you'll have to go on the My Disney Experience app, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and book a time for you to be able to, or I'm sorry, to get a boarding group for when you'll be able to go on, and then you'll get called when you go. Otherwise, there is no standby queue as of recently, but I'm hoping that will change soon. And then, last but not least, it's something that's very exciting that's coming to Magic Kingdom is Tiana's Bayou Adventure. So Tiana's Bayou Adventure is a ride that was previously called Splash Mountain. However, Disney decided that it was a little outdated, needed a little refurb, and gave it a little facelift in the process. And so now it will be themed to The Princess and the Frog. And so you'll get to join Tiana and Mama Odie and Prince Naveen and Lou and all the fun characters from Princess and the Frog and get to go on a little adventure. The boutique, which is where you can bring, I believe it's 12 and under is the age, and so you can bring your daughter or your son or whoever, and they can get a little glow up to be the prince or princess that their heart wishes, and so that's a cute little magic touch that you can incorporate into their day that'll definitely leave them feeling special and feeling the magic. And then another great experience that Magic Kingdom offers are their stage shows and their fireworks specials. So currently they have the opening stage show for in the morning. I believe it starts at 9 now, and it is where Mickey and Minnie and all of their friends are going to invite all of the guests into the park every single morning, and it's a good time. It's a great way to start your Magic Kingdom morning if that's something that you're interested in. And then they also have a daytime stage show that happens a couple times during the day, called Mickey's Magical Friendship Fair, where Mickey and some of the princesses and some of his friends and some more unique characters are going to take you on a little bit of a journey, and get to sing and dance and see some fireworks along the way. And then, last but not least, of their stage shows and fireworks show specials are Happily Ever After, which is the nighttime spectacular that they have. It goes 2 times at night. And so I believe the showings, I don't remember exactly when, but they're later in the night. I believe the first one is at 8, and I want to say the second one's at night, but I could be wrong. But they're later in the evening, but it is about a 30-minute fireworks show, and it is one of the most amazing fireworks shows that you will ever see. They have amazing fireworks. There's projections all along Main Street, and then also on Cinderella Castle itself, and then they also have characters, or specifically Tinkerbell, who flies across a zip line at the most magical part, and some of the parts will just make your heart melt. It is such a good show, and I highly recommend seeing it if you ever go to Magic Kingdom for your trip. Excuse me. And so, going on to some iconic dining experiences, there are several of them in Magic Kingdom. There's a lot of different restaurants you can see. For this category, for all the parks, I'm just going to mostly be speaking of table service restaurants, so sit down meals, if you're interested in having that for your park day. And so, one of the most iconic ones is Cinderella's Royal Table, where you'll get to eat inside Cinderella Castle, and you'll get to meet up with some of the princesses in Cinderella's castle and enjoy a really, really great meal. Is a little expensive, but if you have any kids who are really into the princesses, it is a really great experience for them. Then, second, we have the Our Guest restaurant, which is kind of similar, except instead of eating in Cinderella's restaurant, in Cinderella's castle, you're eating inside the Beauty and the Beast castle. So you're eating in Beast Castle. There are three different rooms where you can eat. Currently, I believe two of them are operating. So there's the main ballroom where you'll be able to eat, and then also the Beast study. Um, which is very fun. It's very interactive. You get to see Belle and the Beast as you're eating your meal, and you even get a little card that's signed by both of them, and it's very, very cute. And then last but not least, we have the Crystal Palace, which is a family table style buffet meal, and they have breakfast, lunch, and dinner there. And the real star of this meal is that there are so many characters that you could see. Most typically noted are the Hundred Acre Woods friends, so Winnie the Pooh, Tigger, Rabbit, Eeyore. You'll get to see them come out. They'll stop at your table for your meal, and they'll say hi. You can get a little picture with them if you want. And aside from them, I know there are some other characters that they have recently been incorporating into the experience that are really, really just beautiful. And it's really special because now you never know what you're going to see. But it's really worth it. And that one, because it has the breakfast option, is less costly than the other ones. And in my opinion, if you are going there with younger kids who will recognize those characters, it is a meal that is very much worth it. So now we're going on to Epcot. Um, Epcot has gotten a little bit of a bad rap because some people think that it is just a place that you go to drink around the world and that's it. And that is not true because it has a lot of different offerings than that. And I believe that we need some justice for Epcot because it is amazing. And I'm going to tell you why. um, so, some of the mainlands in Epcot, there's four. First is World Nature, where you have the Living with the Land Pavilion. Then there's World Celebration, which is in the middle of the park right behind Spaceship Earth. World Discovery, which is where you'll find some iconic attractions such as Test Track and the new Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind attraction. And then, of course, there's also World Showcase, which is probably the most known part of Epcot aside from the Epcot Ball. And that is where you have 11 different countries that you can go around the world and see. So some of the signature attractions in Epcot, as I mentioned before, the Epcot Ball is Spaceship Earth, which is a conveyor belt moving attraction. So it's continuously moving on and off. It normally doesn't have too high of a wait time. But it goes through the history of communication with you. It is educational, but it is also very fun, and it is an iconic and, in my opinion, a must-do attraction when you go to Epcot because it is the start of Epcot, and it was supposed to go away a little bit for a renovation, but they kept it. They kept her beauty, and I think that she is still shining perfectly today now. Some of the newer attractions that are now signature attractions of Epcot include Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. So if you're not familiar with the movie Ratatouille, the Pixar movie, it is set in France, and you're going to follow a rat named Remy along his adventures as he is a chef in one of the finest dining restaurants in Paris. So it's a very fun attraction, very cute, and it is one of the newest attractions, and so it has one of the most updated ride systems, and it is quite amazing when you look at all the little details that the Imagineers have put into that attraction, and it is a must-do for Epcot, in my opinion, now when you go. And then the newest attraction of Epcot is Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. So if you're familiar with anything Marvel, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind is going to follow you as you venture out with the Guardians of the Galaxy. And it is the first indoor roller coaster that Disney has ever made. And it is a wild one. The car that you're actually in spins 360 or has the capabilities to. So if you're motion sickness, or get motion sickness, I should say, I would be wary of that attraction. But if you're up to it, I highly recommend it. It is very cool. A lot of Marvel Easter eggs for any Marvel fans out there, and it is a fun ride. Um, and then our last attraction that we're going to talk about specifically today is Frozen Ever After. Frozen Ever After is a flume ride, but indoor, if that makes sense. But it is themed to the iconic movie Frozen, and you're going to go along with Olaf and Anna and Sven, Kristoff and Elsa, and you're going to kind of go through the story of Frozen, meet some new friends along the way, and maybe get a little splashed. But it is really fun, and if you have anyone who's been obsessed with Frozen or really just loves water rides, you really should go on it. So some exclusive experiences that they have at Epcot include there's food festivals that they host, and so there are 4 food festivals that they have throughout the year. There's their Festival of the Holidays, which is where they have different holiday foods from around the world, and they have different food booths set up in the various locations in Epcot. And so you can not only go drinking around the world, but you can now go eating around the world with the food festivals. They also have the Flower and Garden Festival. They have Festival of the Arts Festival. And then there's one more I'm forgetting. But anyways, all of the festivals are really, really great. And the foods that they come out with, a lot of them are new each year. There are some returning favorites, which if you are the kind of people who want to start the tradition of going to Epcot every single year, I highly recommend being able to go when those food festivals are happening because they are excellent. A lot of the eats are really, really great. There are some hit or misses here, but if you just look up a couple YouTube videos and kind of dig into it before you go, you'll be able to tell what's good and what you skip. So some other fun experiences that they have are Moana Journey of Water, and so this is a new water attraction in World Celebration, which recently opened up, and so it follows Moana, and there's a lot of interactive water experiences where you kind of control the water as if you are Moana controlling the ocean. But it is a great place to go when you want to cool off if you're going during the summer months, and it is also really cool for anyone who loves Moana and who appreciates that. There's also some times where they have Moana character meet and greet experiences within or around that area, and so if your kid really loves Moana and wants to meet her, they can do that there. But it's very cool, very exciting. I highly recommend it. Another cool thing that they have is their DuckTales World Showcase Adventures. And so it's using the Play Disney app that Disney has, and so you could download that before you go. And there's a lot of little clues and things. And what people don't realize is that while you're playing the game, you're actually activating things within the countries and the different places around World Showcase. So there's I think in Germany there's a cuckoo clock and the people rotate around it when you activate it. And then there's some cool hidden features that you can activate when you're in England and different things. So keep an eye out for that. There's definitely YouTube videos that they have where you can see what each one does if you want something for your kids to do, or maybe you're going with tweens who might not necessarily be as interested in Epcot as doesn't have a lot of really big thrill ride attractions. They can definitely do that as well. And then there is a nighttime fireworks show in Epcot. It's called Luminous, and so it is a fireworks show that goes over the bay that they have in the middle of the World Showcase. And so there are projections that they have. There is lights that are going off on Spaceship Earth. There are fireworks, and it is a really, really cute show. Very, very heartwarming, and it is a must-see, of course. It does get a little busy at Epcot in the afternoons because people typically tend to park hop over there because they want to see the fireworks show, maybe do a little drinking before they go um, on their merry little way. But it is a very great watch if you have the chance to see it. And last but not least, some of the iconic dining experiences that they have in Epcot includes the Space 220 restaurant. And so you are taken into space and you get to sit down either at their bar or they have a lounge. And that is where you can have some fun little space eats. It is one of the newer restaurants at Epcot. It is a little bit on the pricier end, but it is a great experience, especially if you have any kids who might be interested in space or anything like that. And their drinks are also very, very good. Um, Another great place to eat is the Rose and Crown. They have a dining room and also a pub. And at the Rose and Crown, you typically it's more of like bar eats kind of, but it is all based in England since that is where the Rose and Crown pub is located in the World Showcase. And so they have really great eats in there. Highly recommend the fish and chips. It was great. But yeah. And then Garden Grill Restaurant is another great meal. This is what I would suggest as the best character dining experience that they have to offer at Epcot. At Garden Grill Restaurant, you get to sit down and eat. The restaurant itself actually rotates, and so there's a attraction called Living with the Land, and the restaurant actually slowly, very slowly, you don't really notice it, is spinning in a circle and goes and rotates, so you can get a glimpse of the Living with the Land attraction if you would like to see it. And while you're eating, Pluto and Mickey and Goofy and Chip and Dale come around to your table and you get to take photos with them, say hi. And so it's a great meal if you have some younger kids that are going with you and you want them to be able to meet Mickey, but you don't necessarily want to have to wait the time to do one of the character meet and greet experiences that they have to offer in the park. And then last but not least is Le Cellier Steakhouse, which is located in the Canada Pavilion. It is a very expensive, but very good steakhouse. So if you have some meat eaters that you really like steak on your vacation with you, I highly recommend going to Le Cellier, having a nice sit-down meal, and getting to relax in the middle of your Walt Disney World vacation. So now we are going on to Animal Kingdom. So Animal Kingdom is my personal favorite park, so I am a little biased. And similar to Epcot, it is noted that there aren't very many things to do there. But if you are the kind of person who appreciates nature and you want to be able to have some thrill rides but have a bit of that break in your vacation, Animal Kingdom is the perfect park to go to. The hottest park, but in my opinion, it has a lot of great things for all ages, and it is a very interactive and educational park, so there's that bonus. So, the mainland in Animal Kingdom include the Oasis and Discovery Island. So, the Oasis is where you will enter to once you have your admission checked. Discovery Island is the main hub of Animal Kingdom where you will have everything. I'm actually going to pull up the map here. So this is Discovery Island. Like I said, you enter through the Oasis, and then Discovery Island is the main hub. So all the other different lands that they have in Animal Kingdom are going to be centrally located around Discovery Island. So that is where you will always kind of go back to. So aside from Discovery Island, where we have the iconic Tree of Life, there is Pandora, the World of Avatar, which has some of the greatest, or I should say one of the greatest Animal Kingdom rides that we'll talk about in a little bit. Then over here we have Africa, which also is home to Rafiki's Planet Watch, which is a nice little kind of hidden away area that you can ride by this little train station here in Africa. They have different animals there. They have a conservation station that we'll talk about in a little bit. And there's just a lot of great things to see in Africa. Also, very, very good food in Africa, as we will talk about in a second. Then over here we have Asia, which is home to some of the more thrilling rides, including Expedition Everest, which is over here, and also Kilimanjaro Safaris. It is home to Cali River Rapids, so that is the water ride for the park. And then over here we have Dinoland USA, which we're not going to talk about too much because Dinoland USA is getting an overhaul soon. We don't know exactly when, but she will be extinct, for lack of a better word, sooner rather than later. So, some of the signature attractions at Animal Kingdom are going to include Avatar Flight of Passage. And so, Avatar Flight of Passage is the iconic ride where you are going to go into your own avatar. You're going to get to ride on the back of a banshee, which is like a dragon-like creature if you're not aware of Avatar and that whole series, James Cameron. um, but you are going to get to experience what it's like to ride on the back of a banshee. It is one of my favorite attractions. Also, for some reason, it smells really good. Don't know why. Just really is. The other attraction that they have in Pandora, the World of Avatar, is the Navi River Journey ride, which is a slow boat ride moving through a bioluminescent forest. It is a very slow ride, so if you're looking for a little bit of a break in the AC, that is a good ride to go on. It is also home to one of the most technologically advanced animatronics at the time that the ride was made in Disney, called The Shaman of Song, which is a really good animatronic to see and check out if you have the time to. Then Kilimanjaro Safaris, which is located in the Africa section of the park. Kilimanjaro Safaris, you might just say, oh, why would I go on that? It's just a zoo ride, basically. It is a great, great experience. If you go at the right time of day, which I would highly recommend going first thing in the morning, or if you can after it rains, you're going to see a lot of the animals. There is every animal that you can imagine possible that lives in Africa, and the drivers who will take you on the ride are very knowledgeable and they will be able to tell you a lot of fun facts about the animals. So if you're interested, highly recommend it. Then, as we talked about before, Expedition Everest, which is in Africa, not Africa, it is in Asia, and that is going to take you through the Mount Everest, and there may be a few surprises along the way, like a Yeti or something, that might make your, let's say, trip go a little off kilter. Then next up we have Dinosaur, which is in Dinoland USA. It is based on the movie Dinosaur that came out in like 2006, I want to say. Might be wrong there. But Dinosaur the attraction, it is very fun. Like I said, it is getting a retheme, and hopefully we will be seeing some other more familiar characters in that ride soon. Then we have some exclusive experiences at Animal Kingdom. So, like I've mentioned with the safari, there are a lot of multiple animal encounters. It's not just a safari, they have different shows with animals. They have different exhibits throughout the park, such as in the Oasis where you enter. There's a sea otter exhibit, and they have different bird exhibits. There's an aviary. They also have two big exploration trails where you can see things like gorillas, you can see insects and snakes and all different kinds of animals. So a lot of leisurely time that you can have in this park. But it is nice to just take that step back and to be able to appreciate nature. And Disney has done a lot of great work in being able to keep all of those animals safe and taken care of properly. So I've also listed here the conservation station, which is in Rafiki's Planet Watch in Africa, as I spoke about before, where Disney actually takes care of a lot of the animals, and they really rehabilitate animals. If they're injured, they have top experts taking care of them and making sure that they can either be rehabilitated to go back into the wild, or they can have a nice little happy life living in Disney World. You want to do that. So then also, aside from their conservation station, there is the Festival of the Lion King, which is about a half-hour show celebrating the Lion King with some of the most incredible performers and actors that I've ever seen, hands down. So highly recommend Festival of the Lion King if you get the chance. Also, it's AC, and as I said, it gets hot. So it might be a great way to go escape off into the coolest for a little bit while you're trying to escape the heat. And then, last but not least, of their exclusive experience, the Animal Kingdom is the Wilderness Explorers program. So if you have ever seen the movie Up, the wilderness explorer in that movie, the little boy Russell. Disney has taken what he does as a wilderness explorer and has actually created their own little program for it. So if we go back to the Animal Kingdom map, if you zoom in here, if you'll see throughout the spots they have this little tree with a W sign in it, that is a wilderness explorer station. And so throughout the park they have all these different stations that are geared towards the wilderness explorer program, and they will be able to do all those different stations, and for each station they do, they're going to get a little badge that's going to go in their book, and then when they complete the program they get a little Wilderness Explorer prize, which I think is really cute. If you have a lot of littles that are going to Animal Kingdom who really love animals, it's such a good thing for you to be able to do with them, because they get to learn a little bit of something educational, but they always get to have that little bit of a reward. And there's also crafts and different things at each station, so very interactive, very fun, and also free, so you gotta love free stuff. All right, some of the iconic dining experiences. There is Tiffin's Restaurant. There's also Tusker House Restaurant. And so those are located in Asia and Africa, I believe. Some sit down places. Like I said, if you want to have a sit down meal, get out of the heat a little bit. Then there is Satuli Canteen, which is located in Pandora World of Avatar. That is a quick service restaurant. So it is not a sit down meal, but you can sit down to eat. But it does have some more unique food. However, I will say is home of where they have cheeseburger pods, which if you ever had bao buns, it's basically that, but with the cheeseburger filling, and it is the most amazing thing I've ever eaten in my life, and I wish I could have some right now. Next up, we have the Nomad Lounge. Nomad Lounge is also a quick service restaurant. It is more geared towards adults, but it has a little bit of like bar bites that are more unique to Animal Kingdom, and it is also a great place to sit, relax, and lounge, and be able to enjoy the scenery around you in Animal Kingdom, because, like I said, Animal Kingdom is beautiful. All right, last but not least, as I said before, is Hollywood Studios. So, Hollywood Studios is a very large park. Because of that, it can be a little bit difficult to navigate if you don't know where you are or what you're necessarily talking about. So let me just give you an idea here. So when you enter the park, you're going to enter here at the ticketing center. Then you're going to enter right onto Hollywood Boulevard, which is this little area in green here. You're going to walk up here if you choose to take this path, and that's going to take you all the way up to the Chinese Theater. And so you have several different options when you go here. If you are going to stay in Hollywood Boulevard, there is Echo Lake over here, where they have the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular, Echo Lake itself. And then over here to the right is Sunset Boulevard, which is where you will go down. They have some different eateries here. They also have the Beauty and the Beast stage show located over here. Then there is the iconic Hollywood Tower of Terror. This is also back where they have their nighttime spectacular Fantasmic. And in addition, there's also Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy and Rock and Roller Coaster, which is currently down for refurbishment as of right now. So then once you get out of Sunset Boulevard, this is kind of the beginning entrance of the park. Then you're going into the middle / the back of the park. Over here is Commissary Lane, where there is currently no attractions as of right now. However, there are different places to eat and things like that. There's also the Animation Courtyard, which is home to the Disney Junior Dance Party. There's also some Star Wars meet and greets over here, in addition to this where a Little Mermaid attraction used to be, but hopefully will be getting renovated very soon. Oh, then over here we have Pixar Plaza, which is home to some meet and greet locations where you can meet some characters such as the Incredibles. You can meet Sully and Mike Wazowski. And then over here we have Grand Avenue, which is home to Star Tours as well as Muppet Vision 3D. Then over here, the probably two most iconic and busiest lands in the park is Toy Story Land, where you have over here Slinky Dog Dash, Alien Swirling Saucers, and then located over here is Toy Story Mania. They also recently added a restaurant here called Roundup Rodeo Barbecue, which is all themed to Toy Story. We'll get into that in a little bit. Then up here we have Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which is the newest and most iconic land to the park up to date. Over here we have Rise of the Resistance, Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, where you can pilot the Millennium Falcon, and then there's also different places to shop around here. You can build droids, you can build lightsabers, all different kinds of things for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, especially if you are a Star Wars fan. So, some of the signature attractions, as I spoke about before, are Star Wars Rise of the Resistance. So Rise of the Resistance, it is the second newest ride in Walt Disney World, but it is a 20-minute experience. I can't even say that it's just a theme park ride, but it is where you're going to get to really go into the most recent generation of Star Wars films, and it is a beautiful attraction, and I highly recommend you go on it. Very, very busy, very long waits sometimes, but we'll talk more later about how you can be able to get out of those lines. Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, as I said before, where you get to pilot the Millennium Falcon yourself. Slinky Dog Dash, where you get to ride in Slinky Dog from the Toy Story films and take a ride around Andy's backyard. Then we have the Hollywood Tower of Terror, which is where everyone knows it's that drop attraction where you're in an elevator, goes up and then drops slowly but steadily. Maybe not so slowly. And then within the Chinese theater, one thing I forgot to mention is the Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway attraction, which is the first ever Mickey and Minnie attraction that they have ever had in a Disney park, but is very cute, very kid-friendly, and it features some of the cartoons from the more recent Mickey and Minnie animations that they have released. So, some exclusive experiences for Hollywood Studios includes Fantasmic, which is a nighttime spectacular. It is fireworks, characters, so there are fights in it, there's boats, there's everything you could want and more. It is a very great show. They also have different dining packages available for a little dessert party and also getting to view the show if that's something you're into. Then on the Chinese theater, they have the Wonderful World of Animation show at night. In addition to some of the live entertainment shows I spoke about before, they have a Star Wars show that is in front of the Chinese theater at different parts during the day. They have the Green Army soldiers from the Toy Story movies walking around and doing some drumming and stuff. They also have the Beauty and the Beast live stage show that, like I spoke about before, the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular. So there's really a lot of choices here for what you can do and experience. And so to wrap up Hollywood Studios, some of their iconic dining experiences include the Hollywood Brown Derby, which is a nice sit-down restaurant that you can have in Walt Disney World. They also have walk-up experiences outside of the restaurant, but it has very, very good food. A little bit pricey, but very, very good. Then, as I spoke about before, they have Roundup Rodeo Barbecue, which is the new restaurant that is themed to Toy Story in Toy Story Land. And then last but not least, one of the most iconic dining experiences is Olga's Cantina. So if you've ever seen the Star Wars movies, have a Star Wars fan, or are really into exclusive beers and exclusive drinks and stuff, I highly recommend checking out Olga's Cantina because this is where you can get some very, very cool themed Star Wars drinks as well as some very, very cool little Easter eggs and things to Star Wars that you'll see in the cantina. So ticketing and admission to the parks. So all tickets for the parks are date-based priced. So that means that if it is a busier time of year, for example, if it is a holiday or if there is a big event going on, such as the Run Disney events that they have in the parks, the tickets admission costs are going to be higher than what they would be if it's just a random day at the beginning of September. So your ticketing options are going to include the one-day Magic Pass, where you have one-day admission to one park, but with that, it is park-based pricing. And so the way that the park-based pricing works is certain parks are going to cost you more versus other parks, and it is based mostly on popularity of the park. So on the bottom, you're going to have Animal Kingdom, next is Epcot, then Hollywood Studios, and then Magic Kingdom. So your Magic Kingdom ticket, if you're buying a one-day Magic Pass, is going to cost more than if you were to just go to Animal Kingdom. So then after that, there is the water park and sports option, which will get you access to that park that you're going to for however many days you want to go. And it'll also give you admission to a water park, to one of the two water parks as I spoke about before, so Blizzard Beach and Typhoon Lagoon, for a certain amount of days depending on the duration of your stay. And then they also have some different golf courses. They have the ESPN Wide World of Sports on Disney property, and so you get some admission to those amenities as well with the water park and sports option. Then there is the park hopper option, where you will have the choice to be able to go from one park to a different park. Pretty self-explanatory. You don't have to have a reservation like that or anything, if you only have the park hopper option. But it is nice if you're one of those people who might not be so interested in Animal Kingdom, but you want to be able to go to it and experience it. You can go there and then maybe go to a different park that you either are more excited to go to or would like some more time in after you've been there previously. Then the Park Hopper Plus option is just a combination of the water park and sports option and the park hopper option. So it's going to give you all the amenities of both of those options just in the one ticketing. And then last but not least is the Disney Incredipass, which is the only annual pass holder ticket that you can get for Walt Disney World if you are not a Florida resident. But there are a few caveats to it, seeing that if you are a annual pass holder for Walt Disney World, you will need to make a reservation on some, if not most days. And those days that Disney projects are not going to be as busy, or as they call them, good to go days, you are going to need a reservation for any day that isn't that day. So there's that. So some of the places where you can buy tickets that I highly recommend are the DVC rental store. There's also Undercover Tourist and Walt Disney World. So obviously directly from the source. So DVC rental store is a place that you can use to not only book tickets and things, but you can also book stays and different things. It tells you a list of everything that's within it, all the ticketing options that they have. And with DVC Rental Store here, in addition to Undercover Tourist here, they will have discounted tickets for different deals. Like right now, they have both Disney Resort and Theme Parks, so Walt Disney World, you can get adult tickets for child prices. And they have a 365-day ticketing return, so if you happen to see the tickets go down in cost from what you paid on Undercover Tourist, then you can be able to get a return for that ticket and then purchase the tickets at the lower cost if that's what you wish. But if you don't decide to use Undercover Tourist or DVC Rental Store, it is really going to be up to you with Walt Disney World admissions. There might be other websites. I just trust those two the most, in my opinion. But typically your ticketing is going to cost you $109 per day, and that's for your standard date-based ticket for one day. So as I should just say, I want to stay 4 days at the parks, and let's say I want to go in June. You're going to see that end of June is going to be more expensive than the beginning of June because that starts the summer season. And for example, like in May, you're going to see that a ticket for Monday, May 27th, or Sunday, May 26th, is going to cost more than a ticket that was at the beginning of the month. So all things to keep in mind when you're buying tickets, try to get them as low as you can because Disney is very expensive and you want to try to cut costs wherever you can. But if you can't, just try to buy them and really make some research into when and where you're buying your tickets from. So, some things to remember for when you are going to the parks or before you go to the parks. You want to remember to download the My Disney Experience mobile app, which is an app that you can download on your phone, and it is going to allow you to link your theme park admission and reservations. It's also going to allow you to access all the park maps and a tip board for different attraction times. Say you go to Hollywood Studios and you decide that you want to book an appointment to be able to build a lightsaber. It's going to be able to link that reservation into your account, and then you'll be able to keep that on your tip board to be able to have that ready for you whenever you're going. And another part that you'll need to remember for the parks are the Disney Genie services that they offer. And you're going to want to decide if you're going to use these before you go to the parks. So there's 3 different options that they have for the Genie service. There's this free Genie service, which just creates a personalized itinerary based on your selected interests. So you can select that I like princesses and thrill rides, and I like indoor attractions. Then it's going to curate a list of all the things that you could possibly do. And typically, it's not the best system to use. So you might have to use a little bit of common sense with it, since it is just kind of like an AI bot generating that there for you. But it isn't too bad. You just have to give it a little bit of wiggle room. And there are lots of videos out there to show you exactly how to use the Genie service. Then there is Genie Plus, which is paid access to the Lightning lanes, or as they previously were called, Fast Pass lanes, for most attractions in each park at a specific time. And so that's going to be a per person per day cost for you, ranging between $15 to $39, depending on where you're going. It also is going to include some Disney Photo Pass features, such as different filters and things that you can use. You'll be able to get on-ride photos for different attractions and things. But most people get Genie Plus to be able to get those Lightning lanes so that they can expedite the process of having to wait in line versus having to wait the whole time that an attraction says the wait time is. So there's that, but that is separate from individual Lightning lanes. And so the most popular attractions in each park are going to not be on Genie Plus. They're going to instead have individual Lightning lanes. And so it is a per person per ride paid access to that specific Lightning lane for that popular attraction. And so that's typically going to run $10 to $25 each, and it is going to only be limited to 2 per guest per day. And so if you think, oh, I can just pay for each one, I'll just do whatever that is for whoever wants to go on those Lightning lanes, you're only going to be able to do 2 per day. And if you think about it, if you're a family of 4 and say you want to go on Star Wars Rise of the Resistance in Hollywood Studios and it is Christmas Day, you're going to be paying $25 each per person. So you're going to be spending an extra $100 just to be able to skip that line and be able to go on that attraction without having to do as much of a wait. So a lot of things to think about when you are booking your Disney vacation, but that's why I say that you have to think about it beforehand. So some benefits if you want to stay on property. So like I talked to you before, we have to think about when you're going, where you're going to stay, and one of your options is going to be to stay on Disney property, and with that, there's going to be a lot of benefits to that. So some of those benefits are going to include access to complimentary Disney transportation between areas. Now, this is true for all people who come onto Walt Disney World property. All Disney transportation is free for the most part. They do have one collab with Uber called Minivans. That is not free. You pay for that like you would pay for an Uber, but is just on Disney property instead of off Disney property. But with that, that is going to allow you to include the buses, ferry boats, the water taxis, the Disney monorail system, and the Disney Skyliner system. So you have all of those modes of transportation open to you. You can access those schedules and things on the My Disney Experience app so that you are able to get the most out of your vacation there. So then another benefit of staying on property is that they offer vacation packages with discounted rooms and or admission to the parks. So if you are booking at a certain time of day or a certain time of the year, you're going to be able to access more benefits than you would otherwise with those vacation packages. So then after that, you have some optional Disney dining packages for purchase. I'm not going to go too into detail because they are very, very specific and we don't have the time for that. But there's the Disney Quick Service Dining Plan, which is meant more for people who are not going to have a lot of sit-down meals, who are going to be more snacky than anything when you're going on your Disney vacation, or who may even pack their own snacks and things and not want big meals during the day. They have the Disney Quick Service Dining Plan for that. And then separate is the Disney Dining Plan, where you are able to have sit-down meals. Some other benefits to staying on property include early theme park entry. There's also extended theme park hours for select resorts for select days, so you can check the calendars out. If you see all of the amenities that I have listed here all have links within them, so I will share this presentation at the end of the live stream in the description, and so you will be able to access all the information that I've embedded here so that this can help you plan your Walt Disney trip as according to whatever your needs are. And then we have also admission to water parks on check-in day as a perk of staying on property. This is starting in 2025 and it is for select hotels, but is a good thing to keep in mind considering you might want to start planning for that vacation now, depending on all your external factors that are affecting when you want to plan your vacation. So to go over some of the Walt Disney World Resort hotels, so there are 3 different main categories for hotels, one of which being Valley Resort hotels. And so at the Valley Resort hotels, these are going to be your least expensive hotels. They have certain price ranges based on what time of year it is. Like I said, a lot of it is date-based pricing, so the busier it is, the more expensive it's going to be. But just looking at, I believe I looked at a week-long trip in the middle of August for this year. These were all the prices that I could come up with for all of the resort hotels. So Fort Wilderness Campsites was $76 per night. They have the Disney All-Store Resorts, which they have All-Store Sports, Music, and Movies, which were each $146 a night there. Then they have the Pop Century Resort, which is $196, and the Art of Animation Resort, which was $227 per night. Then after the Valley Resorts, we have the Moderate Resort Hotels, and as these categories increase in price, the amenities are going to increase. So here you might see a couple more nicer amenities within the actual rooms themselves. If you're staying at a Disney Vacation Club resort, then they're also going to have different perks there as well, where you might have access to things like laundry, or being able to have a semi-kitchen, or maybe even a full kitchen, depending on the resort that you're staying at. So the resort hotels are going to include the Coronado Springs Resort, which is over in the Magic Kingdom area. And then we have Port Orleans French Quarter, as well as Port Orleans Riverside. Then there is Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort, which are both $304 a night. And then the Fort Wilderness Cabins that are currently under renovation, once those are open up and can be accessible, they will be $429 a night just in this specific circumstance. Then there are the deluxe hotels. So those are going to be more costly, but they are going to offer things like more space. So if you don't want to have to pay for 2 rooms a night, they offer things like different villas, or there are also some cabins in some certain circumstances depending on the resort. But there are more accessible options in bungalows also too. That was the word I was thinking of. But villas and bungalows where you'll be able to fit more people. So if you're looking for that, where the price might be better for you because you're actually able to fit all the people that are going on your trip, that's what I would recommend for you. Then in the deluxe resort hotels, we have Saratoga Springs Resort, Disney's Old Key West Resort, which were about around the same price. For this specific instance. Then we have Animal Kingdom Lodge, which does have access to something like safari view rooms. They have an actual, like a little mini savannah out on one part of the property where you can see animals when you wake up, if that's something you're interested in. Then they have the Disney's Wilderness Lodge. Then they have the Animal Kingdom Villas, which, like I said, bigger accommodations for if you have more people or if you want more space. Then there's the Disney Contemporary Resort, which recently had a major renovation, which was themed over to Incredibles themed rooms, and it is the closest hotel to Magic Kingdom, so you can literally actually see the fireworks for Magic Kingdom from certain views of certain rooms in the Contemporary, and also the restaurants that they have in the Contemporary as well. Then in the same area is the Yacht Club Resort and the Boardwalk Inn, both around the same price point, which are along Disney's Boardwalk, as I mentioned before, one of those free areas that you can go to in the park. They are right over there, essentially located around International Gateway, where Epcot is. Excuse me. And then they have Disney's Riviera Resort, as well as the Polynesian Village Resort, which is over by Magic Kingdom. Grand Flitting Resort and Spa, which is across from Magic Kingdom. And then last but not least, Disney's Beach Club Resort, which is over by the Yacht Club Resort and the Boardwalk Inn. So there's a lot of options that you have here for all these Disney resort hotels. What's really going to come down to it when you are deciding what Disney hotel to do or to choose is going to be what your needs are. So how many people you're going to want. If you're going to have a lot of people with you, you're going to want to opt for maybe going for a villa or one of the bungalows that they may offer so that you can be able to accommodate all those people. Or if you want to try to save a little bit of money and you're not going to necessarily worry about all being together and you want to get separate rooms, you might want to go for a higher value resort hotel or maybe one of the lower moderate resort hotels to be able to fit your accommodations. So now we're going to take a little bit of a break for, I'll say, probably about 5 minutes, and then when we come back, I'm going to have a Q&A session, and you can ask me anything about planning a vacation to Walt Disney World. So I'm going to leave that there, and please in the chat put all of your questions that you have. Let me know what you want to know about planning your next Walt Disney World vacation. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Had some technical difficulties. So I'm going to respond to Sergio Diaz's question. Are there any good places to eat around the resort hotels? So all of the Disney resort hotels have restaurants in them. Most notably, there are quick service meals in addition to a few table service options depending on where you go. Another good perk of staying at the resort hotels is there are pools at many, if not all, of the resort hotels. And so all those pools have pool bars and quick service restaurants around. So if you're looking to get a quick bite to eat for breakfast in the morning, you can see all of that is going to be linked in the resort hotels section of my presentation today. So once I post that in the description, you'll be able to gain access to all of that, and you'll be able to see for which resort hotels you're looking at to see what restaurants are available to you. Awesome. So let's go to the next question. Are there any resorts you would recommend for a large family? So if you are a large family and you want to stay together, I'm going to recommend the Polynesian villas that they offer, or there are also the Animal Kingdom bungalows. Um, and so that's if you want to make sure that you're staying all together in the same exact place. It is a little bit pricier, but it is a great place, and there are also great accommodations. It's a little bit more private than just having a couple adjoined hotel rooms. But if you are looking to have separate hotel rooms and stuff, and you're trying to stay on budget, I recommend the back specifically. So I would recommend the Disney's Art of Animation Resort, considering they have some very cute themed rooms there that are very kid friendly, which are going to be great, especially if you have a large family with a lot of kids. So our next question was, do you have any recommendations for families with small children? It's definitely staying somewhere that might be a little bit themed so that they have that access to be able to see all the different characters. For example, there's like Finding Nemo rooms that are really, really cute, that the kids might get a little bit of a kick out of. There's also little hints and nods to characters around those resorts, so they're a little bit more kid friendly. There are some more adult resorts as well. Saratoga Springs is really beautiful. The Contemporary can also be for kids, but can also be for adults that want a little bit of relaxation but want to be closer to the parks because you're busy with your park days. But yeah, another great option for families that I'm really excited to see come back is the Fort Wilderness cabins. Once they are renovated, they'll be able to sleep 6 together, and it's your own little cabin. And the location wise is right by Magic Kingdom, which is the most arguably kid friendly park in the entire Walt Disney World resort. So I highly recommend the Fort Wilderness cabins once they are coming back from their renovations as well. All right. So with no more questions, I'm going to finish off with some of my top tips and my recommendations. So first tip when you're planning for your Walt Disney World vacation is to plan ahead and plan as early as possible. So if you are looking to maybe go in May of 2025, maybe start looking at things now. Even if you can't afford it necessarily yet or don't know, try to get an idea in your head of the answers to those first 3 questions that we talked about at the beginning of the live stream, and really try to think about who's going, when do you want to go, and what do you want to do. Speaking of what you want to do, my second tip is going to be to create a prioritized list of what you want to do. So throughout the vacation overall, what is your goals? If you're going with your family, what kind of experiences do you want to remember? What kind of memories do you want to make with your children? And then also create a prioritized list of what you want to do in each park. So I recommend sitting down, thinking about your kids' interests, or say you are a couple going for your anniversary, or you are a group of college kids going on spring break. Think about what experiences you're going to enjoy the most and do a little bit of research into that to see what your interests are going to be. If you're a bunch of college kids going on spring break, you're going to want to hit some more of the thrill rides, obviously, than maybe more of the little kid rides that they may have to offer in Magic Kingdom or something like that. Tip number 3 is to book any reservations experience as ahead of time as possible. So with that, the exclusive experiences that they offer at Disney from Disney's directly, if you are not staying on Disney World property, it is going to be 60 days in advance. And if you are staying on Disney World property, it is going to be 90 days in advance. So make sure that you are going to set a little alert in your calendar for when you're able to book those experiences to make sure that you can plan it for as optimized of a trip as possible. Same thing goes for dining reservations. If you know that there's a certain dining location that you want to go to, if you want to have dinner or a lunch in Cinderella's royal table at the castle, make sure you're looking at that stuff ahead of time. Know when you're going to book and book it as early as possible. Tip number 4 is to leave room for rest during your vacation. Some people like to go because they want to get all their money's worth out of Disney World vacations, but make sure that you're leaving rest for yourself. If you're going with kids, they're going to need to rest. Even if you're an adult, you're going to want to have some moments where you can sit down and relax and just enjoy the fact that you are on vacation. You should be resting. My tip number 5 is once you have all accommodations and park admissions books or paid for, you want to create a plan to save spending money. Disney is very expensive, as we all know, and you want to be able to have a plan for what spending money you're going to have and how you're going to go about making sure that you have enough so that once you get to Disney, if you don't have things like a dining plan or anything, how you're going to be able to afford your meals, how you're going to be able to have enough money for souvenirs or maybe some last minute experiences that you want. Make sure that you have it planned out so you're not leaving yourself penniless by the end of your vacation. And then number 6 is just to be open to new experiences. Disney World has a lot to offer, and if you try something new, or maybe if you try something a little bit out of your comfort zone, it might be worth it. Say you want to go to Disney Springs, and at Disney Springs they have a experience where you can go in a hot air balloon, but you're scared of heights. Try it. You never know. It might be something you can do. You can say, I've flown in a hot air balloon over Disney World. So I would always say to be open to your experiences, and if you have kids, maybe be a little less open because they might be more susceptible to not wanting much change, but it will definitely be worth it if you just give it a try, as long as you know that it's going to be worth it. Do your research. Definitely. If there was a 7 tip on here, do your research, but you're here now, so you're doing it. All right, so here are my list of all my recommended resources. There is the Walt Disney World Resort website, Undercover Tourist, as we talked about earlier. Another thing that I wanted to hit it quickly here is Undercover Tourist crowd calendar. And so depending on when you're going, you can see every single park and how busy it's projected for that day based on previous crowd levels, a busy time of day, if there's events going on, and it'll tell you, for example, the International Flower and Garden Festival is happening at Epcot right now, so it's a little bit more busy than what it normally would be. So there's another resource that you can use when you're planning your vacation. And then that DVC rental store, as we talked about. There's also Disboard's online forums, which have questions and answers to everything and all things Disney. Then here are a couple of YouTube channels I highly recommend if you are more interested in Genie Plus and figuring out how to navigate lightning lanes and all things like that, especially the My Disney Experience app. I highly recommend the Mammoth Club YouTube channel, and this is a link directly to their Genie Plus guide that they offer. Also, for just general resources and tips for the park, there's Disney Food Blog Guides YouTube channel, All Ears YouTube channel, as well as Guide to Walt Disney World YouTube channel. All right, so with that, I am going to leave you guys. I will be putting the link to this presentation in the description below for this chat, but I wanted to say thank you guys for coming to my live stream. I appreciate you, and I hope you have fun with all your Walt Disney World adventures. See you real soon. Bye.